Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about vaccines. Vaccines are controversial in many ways. Many people think they cause autism. Others believe that they're safe. Some people believe that parents should have the right to choose whether or not their children get vaccinated. Others believe they should be mandatory. Whatever your stance might be, the facts can't be denied. I will give you the pros and the cons of vaccines and hopefully tell you something you might not already have known. The definition of vaccine is a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or several diseases, prepared from the causative agent of a disease, its products, or a synthetic substitute, treated to act as an antigen without inducing the disease. I know that was a mouthful, but in other words, the active part of the disease is mixed with additives and will then produce an immune reaction within your body. An adjuvant is an ingredient added to the vaccine that helps the body create a stronger immune response. Some vaccines that use weakened or dead germs contain naturally occurring adjuvants that help the body produce that strong immune response. Other additives that can be used are suspending fluid, which would be saline, sterile water, or fluids containing glycine. The preservatives that are used help the vaccine remain unchanged. Some of those preservatives might be albumin, phenols, or glycine. Some vaccines contain a small amount of the material that is used to grow the virus, like an egg protein. If you've ever been to the doctor, you know if you go to get a flu shot, they ask you if you're allergic to eggs. If you are allergic to eggs, you won't be able to get that vaccine. Each vaccine is made differently and tested rigorously by the FDA. They continue to test the vaccine even after it is approved. Vaccines can be one of two ways. They can be live or they can be killed. Live vaccines use a weakened form of the virus so that while still keeping the virus viable, you do not infect the patient with the disease. Some of the live viruses are tuberculosis, oral polio, yellow fever, measles, and rotavirus. Killed virus just use particles of the virus. Then they are killed using heat or formaldehyde. Examples of killed viruses are Hep A, B, flu, and polio. All vaccines have different components. It is not common to have any negative side effects from them. Only about 1 in 4 people have side effects, and they're usually very mild. The consequences of not being vaccinated are much greater. You can have a child that's infected with a preventable disease, or you can infect someone else that can, for some reason, not be vaccinated. And usually the side effects are, the mild ones are swollen glands, slight fever, pain at the injection site. The moderate side effects might be temporary muscle aches, hives, or a seizure. Severe side effects are, again, very rare, and they might be long-term seizures, permanent brain damage, or a severe allergic reaction. Again, it is far more dangerous for a person to contract the disease than it is for them to have the vaccine. Children receive vaccines that protect them from 16 different viruses that vary in severity. They received the chickenpox vaccine. Now, I had the chickenpox. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't life-threatening. However, some of the things they were vaccinated against are deadly. Whooping cough can be deadly for a small child. It doesn't always result in death, but I wouldn't want to take that chance. Tetanus, diphtheria, and even the flu can be life-threatening to a child. As a mother, that is terrifying to me. I want to do everything I can to protect my kids. Teenagers can get the HPV vaccine, which prevents you from getting the human papillomavirus. That virus can cause cervical cancers in women and other cancers in men. My kids will be getting vaccinated when they're old enough. Pregnant women also need certain vaccines. It is recommended that they get the flu vaccine in the first or second trimester. They also get the Tdap vaccine, which protects them from whooping cough. Senior citizens also need different vaccines. They need the shingles vaccine, which is the same thing as the chickenpox. They need the pneumonia vaccine and the flu vaccine, just to name a few. Certain illnesses can't receive vaccines for different reasons. People with certain cancers might not be able to receive some vaccines. Also, people who are being treated with steroids or have had a recent transfusion. If you have a low platelet count or are immunocompromised in any way, you can't be vaccinated. These people rely on the healthy population to get vaccinated. If they surround themselves with people who are vaccinated, then they can't contract these diseases. However, if a person who can't receive the vaccine is around an unvaccinated person who has whooping cough, it can have dire consequences for the sick individual. If you go to another country, you might need certain vaccines. There are certain diseases that you're not exposed to here in the USA that you might be exposed to in other countries. You might need the hepatitis A or B, typhoid, yellow fever, meningitis, or Japanese encephalitis. It is imperative that you go to the CDC and find out the list of appropriate vaccines for whatever country you are going to. Now for the scary statistics. Underdeveloped countries don't have vaccines. There are far too many children in these countries that die from preventable diseases. Measles kills 500,000 people per year. Tetanus, 200,000 newborns and 30,000 mothers every year. Diphtheria and whooping cough kill roughly 300,000 a year. A respiratory disease called Hib kills 500,000 a year. Rotavirus, which is a digestive disease, kills 600,000 a year. And lastly, yellow fever kills 30,000 a year. These stats are horrifying. These diseases can be prevented with vaccines. If that didn't scare you, then maybe this will. Here are some real stories of children who didn't get vaccinated. A woman named Sophie Hewood made the decision not to vaccinate her child. Her daughter, at 1 year old, contracted whooping cough. This is a cough that lasts roughly 100 days. And it's not a cough that we get when we have a cold. It is a violent and painful cough. It is torture for the child. And also, all the adults in the household ended up with it as well. Thankfully, this child did not die, but it is possible for children to die from whooping cough. Also, there's a woman named Amy Parker. She grew up in a completely clean family. Her parents grew all their vegetables. They didn't have any sugar. They weren't allowed to watch TV. They did everything clean. She ended up with measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, a type of meningitis, whooping cough, and scarlatina. Being healthy does not mean you are safe if you are unvaccinated. The last thing I'm going to talk to you about is whether or not vaccines cause autism. Thimerosal is typically what people are concerned about causing autism. This is an additive that was in certain vaccines used to prevent contamination of multi-dose vials of vaccine. According to the CDC, there is not any link between autism and thimerosal. Since 2003, there have been 9 studies from the CDC that can find no link between the two. They also find no link between the MMR vaccine and autism. I think that's your answer right there. I gave you the facts, and hopefully you are now educated about the decisions you need to make as parents. If for some reason you would choose not to vaccinate what reasons would you give? If for some reason your child could not receive vaccines, would you send them to school with children who were unvaccinated?